I don't know, you're talking with funds and membership and all that. Is this for community or is this for the actual?
Council?
You understand? Yeah, for the council. This
In terms of-
like
in terms of dues?
this whole procedure with these books and.
It's for the community.
The book will go to each community group, like how we have
Okay.
Eva Bain as the president. She will have, she as the president, she will have a copy of the gavel. Okay, she'll have the copy of the gavel. Whoever's the secretary in that group will have the members' contribution and roll call.
Okay,
Okay.
so if I'm just another community, am I a member of this group? That's what I'm saying. Okay, training, I'm saying. Training, not talking directly.
Yes.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, the training that is sorry.
All right.
But if you'd like to join the National Neighborhood Watch in your community, then by all means,
No, I understand. I just wanted to make
someone
sure.
like you will be a good asset to the community as well. Now, which community are you from?
Right here.
That's fine. Fine, so you're good hands, right?
Yeah, I understand now.
Okay.
I don't know who you know.
No problem.
Right.
So we just spoke about the Constitution, right? And so you, like I said, your community leaders will get this book and it has all this stuff in it, right? And so the Constitution provides the basis of governance of the NNWC, which is essential to making sure all neighborhood watch groups' interests and needs are addressed. And so there's a thorough outline. What are the roles of each individual? So there's no misunderstanding in the Constitution where the president role is, what is the vice president, straight down to the sergeant of arms, all right, or even the chaplain. It gives a great outline of what your responsibilities are. And I think like Sergeant Major said it earlier, you can know your role. And so instead of jumping over someone, know how the process is going, right? So the Constitution is here for us, for all of us. Then we go to our bylaws that speaks about, once again, the basic of everything and the sound legal of operation, membership, the establishment, roles and responsibilities, meetings, order of business, committees, and donations that we spoke about, and I'll come more into our grant writing. The administrative manual that we spoke about, and I showed you guys already, that is still in the process of tweaking some other things, so that is going to be another organizational responsibilities, the management, the registration of the neighborhood watch groups, identifying issues that we may have, and setting community operational priorities.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Okay, 1 second. And I think what you kind of alluded to it, but just as a piggybacking of it, all of the, and kind of what based on what you asked, all of the instruments that were developed were really to bring standardization to the program. So irrespective of whether you're operating on Abaco, Providence, it's for transparency and accountability. Because we know that the easiest way to really destroy any program is to mismanagement, whether it's administrative, and particularly as it relates to financial. So what is happening in Bahamas, let me use Abaco. What is happening in Abaco, Crossing Rock, should be the same thing that's happening in Murphy Town. So if you say you want to visit a meeting in a particular another community, it's the same procedure, okay? And there's another thing piggybacking. The Constitution governs the council, okay? And it's the bylaws govern the neighborhood watch group, okay? So this here is how the council should be operating for the entire program. And this here is how you should be operating for your neighborhood watch group. And it's actually the same thing. The only difference is you have the chairman versus the president and their roles and responsibility. Okay, and then the administrative is to guide you on how you should conduct your program, from ethics to being non-political and carrying out the different activities.
And I'm glad Dr. Bethel mentioned that, because the National Neighborhood Watch Council is non-political. Let's get that settled, let me settle that right now.
Praise God.
There's no political colors involved with that. All on one level, because all of us live in one community, no matter what political affiliation, but we want to have safer, better, friendly, knowing who your people are in your community, right? This is just an example of an agenda, and you'll see that more inside your books when you get it on leaders. And simple table item form C is for different things as well. This document is the priority of the NNC, NNWC, and so forth, right? And it goes on. Entitled of community initiatives, and so request by the Neighborhood Watch Council, the group of the island, and they should be all in lower case, lower in case and bold, right, in inclusion, so forth. And so all of this is a part of your instruments that you will receive as community leaders. And so here is another part of the recommendation. The response continue from where we are. And so you'll see that, for instance, when you do some of your stuff, you'll see down is suspect drug selling, using house in the community. 4, need. 5 is vulnerability. 5 is impact. 14, community score, priority 2. And so therefore you could have your sheet layout, you know, like for instance, I think the lady said earlier that they know some homes or a place that is doing some things that is not right. Therefore, you can always just write these things down and you get the information to your officer. And so the neighborhood, the authorization and approval of communication cycle. And so you'll see it here that it's the NNWC. I don't know how many of you can see that on there, but I'll just go here. This is a little more better here. It's the whole cycle of the NNC would authorize and approve joint community strategies to address specific community issues, projects. Included on the NNWC course of action will be a timeline for the completion of the initiative project. Once completed, the strategy will be sent to the Ministry of National Security to be verified, approved, and funding provided if necessary. Once verified and approved, the initiative project will be sent back to the National Neighborhood Watch Council to be implemented. And this figure here gives you an overall assessment of what takes place and how it is all in one circle. Here is this document is once again, it's the priority, the property of the NNWC. And you go down this list here, this is just a sample, debriefing form. And so, was the initiative accomplished? Was it executed? And so like, Ms. Dawkins said earlier that she wants to do a fruit drive, all right, or give kids fruit frenzy. All right, and so if the program now decides to say we're going to give her $500 to go forward and do this, it has to be given back to us that hey, this happened on this date. This was what happened. This is executed. You know, and so you have all your documents lined up, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, so that we see what is actually going on. That we know that hey, the investment is there, and the other part of it is that individuals in the community are benefiting.
Just tell me if it's okay.
Go ahead.
As you were speaking, some of you stated several different initiatives. So what I wrote down was one was to address the derelict vehicles, another was to address shanty towns. So this component that the chairman mentioned, if you have numerous initiatives by different members, the form or the template is to help you decide objectively which to address. So this is the president's will, because that also, we know, can cause a lot of problems. So if you have your form, you go through it and you assess, okay, so some people want to address the shanty town, some want to address derelict vehicles, some want to address speed bumps. And so you go through it step by step, listing what are the benefits, what are the costs, what personnel do we have any outside support? And as a result of going through that template, whichever one is valued higher, then that's the project that your Neighborhood Watch should be doing. So again, it's to bring as much objectivity into the program and fairness, along with that transparency. So all of that really is to kind of, like I said again, to bring that standardization, to guide, and then, you know, how we go with feelings, but to say, okay, well, this is the process here. This year, my project may not have been decided among the membership, but that doesn't mean, of course, it cannot be in the future, it may be a priority at that particular time.
Thank you, Matt. And now we're back to the gavel that we spoke about. Ms. Always, I just pick up one, and it says Central Pine Neighborhood Watch. All right, so this is your gavel. The gavel is used by the president to preside over the Neighborhood Watch meetings. It maintains its purpose to signal for attention of order. Number one, The gavel with the NNWC seal shall preside with the chairman to allow for conducting of businesses. Number two, the sound of the gavel shall call the council meeting to what? Order. Also for the president. Number two, the sound of the gavel shall stop all conversation and allow either the president or the chairman to what? Continue to speak. And number three, the sound of the gavel shall close and dismiss a meeting at all times. The gavel shall always remain with the president, and only in his or her absence shall it be used by who? Let's read that again. The gavel shall always remain with the who?
President.
And only in his or her absence shall it be what? Used by the vice president. So the secretary don't need to come and say, oh, I need to carry it by so-and-so because they want to use it for one little demonstrating or meeting. Or, the school won't use it, so let me carry out my school bag. Or do I buy the carry to the elementary school because we want to go and demonstrate? No. This is important for the program, not to be all over the place. Because if they break or go missing, don't call the national coordinator for it. Because she's going to ask you, well, where have you been missing? Because it should always be in your presence, right, Madam Coordinator?
I didn't pay for that.
Okay. All right. Okay, so we went through this already, and so we know what this is all about. It's a great idea that you will have the membership contribution in the rule book refers to the register of those persons who have become members of the Neighbourhood Watch Group, according to the gentleman who said earlier to give more insight on that. And the book also serves to record the fees paid by Neighbourhood Watch Group members, dues, training, and others. Each member, upon paying the membership fee, has one page dedicated to their participation by their name. And each page for the member has a lifespan of 7 years for recording, as the national coordinator said earlier. The blotter book will come at a later date, and sure enough, we'll make sure you get a full understanding of what the blotter book refers to, the receipt register used by the secretary to record all monies, donation, pledges, coming into the Neighbourhood Watch Group by members and the ministry or donors. And so therefore that's a sample of your blotter sheet. All right, so for instance, it just says he looked through on top. It says Abaco. So for instance, I say, Keno Wong, amount 500 dues from charity, special event, petition, donation, etc. And then of course you have the treasurer, the secretary, and the dates. You didn't see no presidents on that, right? And so that is a part of our presentation on what we presented to you on your instruments. Go ahead. Go back. Right there?
Yeah. So go back to the one. So I think someone asked the question. So someone asked for membership. So once you have persons that are coming into what we part of your Neighbourhood Watch Group, each person is assigned a sheet, and each has it's good for 7 years. So for example, we'll put Ms. Eva to talk, your occupation, your age. So it has here, and again, it's good record for transparency. So most of these documents will be held by the secretary. So for you in your first year, let's say you joined this year, 2022, we'll put the year, then we'll put the month that you pay your dues. It's $5, you don't have to pay it all at once, but you'll put the month that you pay. So we're in September, if you pay $1, we'll put $1. And again, it's transparency. And then it also has here any training that you might participate in, let's say tonight or whatsoever. So each person has a page, and it's also their record, your record, as well as the council's record. Now, to go along with this book here, this is the members book. So the member is entitled to see what they pay, because sometimes there may be some discrepancy. And what we're encouraging is that you do not collect any funds outside of your meeting. That's the worst thing that we can do. So if someone's seeing the food, so let me give you this $2. No, because that $2, you may not remember what that $2 is for by the time you get home. Because as part of the agenda, you have your receipts for the evening. Meaning all of the monies that you've collected in your meeting is called off for everyone to know. So for example, if you have someone is paying their dues $2 and then someone is contributing to, let's say you're having a cookout and they give $50. So that's $52. So you know how that $52 is being spent because the secretary will report it if you need to go back to your notes. So what this here is a member. For the monies that you are collecting, the blotter sheet. So this is only related to your membership, when you're renewing your membership. Any funds that are being collected in meeting, the secretary will have this unused list, and this is in duplicate. Meaning that the secretary will have a copy, and any funds collected as noted in the bylaws must be deposited within 48 hours. Once the, and that goes to treasurer, once the treasurer deposits it, they're given a slip, which they attach to their copy. So at the end of the year, when you're doing your audit, it should balance out. And if you decide to get a checkbook, no check should be written unless it was discussed in the Neighbourhood Watch Group meeting. Then, okay, we want to give, let's say they're having a fundraiser, back to school, you want a DJ. So everyone has to agree that, okay, you'll pay the DJ $50. It's just again for accountability and transparency. So on the sheet that the chairman has up, again, I'll use Eva here, name's speaking to me. So we have Eva, okay? You have the amount that she gave on this particular night. So let's say the day is the 14th, September 14th. Okay, that amount she gave is $50. What is that $50 for? She may say, okay, that $50, I'm paying $5 for you. So you have the total amount, then a breakdown. There's no misunderstanding of what was spent. She may say, okay, for the special event back to school, I'm going to give $30 for that. And then a donation for something else. And at the end of the night, the totals should match out. And that is part of your record keeping. The only thing missing is really the book, but it's the same thing as this, and again, it's in duplicate. So whatever the secretary writes down, collects that evening, it's turned over to the treasurer in the meeting, not outside the meeting, and it's counted right there for everybody to know that this is what I received, and within 48 hours, I must deposit it within the bank. So as president, some of this is really for you really to manage your person. So when you're choosing your executive team, you have to choose people who you know can do the work, particularly your secretary's work, to make sure the person's information is updated and they're recording the information as it should be, and a treasurer that's honest and a secretary that's also honest with it.
Thank you, Doc. If you have any questions you want to ask at this time, go ahead.
Thank you very much. While I'm hearing what is being said, my question is on vetting. We have all of this structure, but how do you know I'm not going to bring my guys in the group to be in charge of the Neighbourhood Watch? How do you vet people?
Good question.
Vetting. How do you vet someone to?
The president, I think there's a section in the Constitution that says that the president has to be vetted. The president. That's the key person. How would they be vetted? Because you have a liaison officer. And so when you have individuals that wants to run for a position, their names now has to be presented. So it's not like someone just walk inside the meeting tonight and just say for the Neighbourhood Watch that I nominate John Williams, because John Williams know that he already brought 15 persons in. Doesn't necessarily mean that John Williams would be automatically in. And so therefore, what we do is that we encourage, is this. If there's an election process, we encourage the communities to have a meeting. Individuals who are interested in running for those particular positions to indicate that they would like to serve. And then there is a process of nominating. And at that point in time when they're nominated, especially for the chairman position or for a president position, those names will then go to the police officer, who will now go and say, hey, let's see exactly if this person is someone that is trustworthy or someone has the capability of being a community leader.
And you have that in...
That's in the Constitution, yes. And these officers here can tell you that this is something that we're going to start processing now. In the past, individuals were just appointed, or there were groups that was already in place. But moving forward, all right, there's going to be some changes based on the constitution of the organization. But that's a good question, that because you want to make sure that you do have good, honest, decent people that is leading the Neighbourhood Watch Group. Go ahead and
let me just add something too, because I think some of you may not still be clear. The Neighborhood Watch Group is made up of persons in the community. You have everybody is a part of the Neighborhood Watch Group, but you have the executives, which includes the president, your vice president, your secretary, your treasurer, and your chaplain. But everybody is a part of the group. But you have persons who would be running for certain positions to help guide the community and help do the day-to-day business of the community. I hope that would help clear up some of your minds, because we all are part of the community, so we are all a part of the Neighborhood Watch.
That was my question. I mean, how, because I think there's a lot of persons in there, you may just assume some of us know we invited, don't understand what it actually is, the whole Neighborhood Watch. The executive council, then the members themselves, how many persons makes up the actual council, how many has to make up the actual, I think you had said the quorum in order to have a meeting, how many meetings you have to have, are they mandated, how do the community know about these meetings so that they can become concerned or take part in it? How do they know when there's an election, if they want to put themselves forward? All of these, I'm new to Central Pines, I moved after the hurricane. But I mean, I'm sure, I think I was aware when you ran the training first. Is it that you have to participate in this training to be a part of the council? All of these are questions I'm sure a lot of other persons have as well.
The council is made up of the coordinator, chairman, the vice chairman, and they have their secretary, chaplain, sergeant of arms, and the presidents are all a part of the council. And then you have the Neighborhood Watch Groups. And they all listed in the Constitution and the bylaws, what she was mentioning, Ms. Bethel mentioned earlier, what the presidents could do. After the day, they could hold their meetings and go through the book with the members so everybody could understand what each person's role is, so there'll be no misunderstandings.
And these books can, while we're giving them to the presidents, these can be copied, because every member should have a copy to know. So it's not, the only instruments that should be on the executive team are like the gavel, the certificate of registration, the secretary's books, and the treasurer's book. But these are for everybody, because everyone keeps everyone accountable once they know. So they're not really saying, well, like, I can't copy it. You're free to, you should have a copy of it, okay? Now, in the book, you'll see the organizational structure, which of course, as the ministries represented the national coordinator and then the executive team. Now, initially, under the old council, once you were president, you were part of the council. However, because the council has grown so much, you really cannot manage all of those persons. So what we're introducing, which will be part of the training for tomorrow, and the national board will get into this because you asked the question, we have district deputies. So for example, for the island of Abaco, we have 3 district deputies, north, central, and south. So that district deputy, you as a community, will select those individuals. And those individuals are responsible for assisting you and representing you on the council and moving throughout the Neighborhood Watch programs to answer questions, to advocate on your behalf, any issues that you may have. Okay, and that would better be able to assist you and to guide you with it. Now, with reference to your meetings, you decide when you want to have the meetings, but we'd like for you to have monthly meetings to keep everybody abreast of what is going on. And then our colleague had asked about being a part of the council. We said that to be a part of the council, you have to have a minimum. But if you don't have that, that's not stopping you from being a part of the program. It only stops you from accessing grant funding through the ministry, our funding, as well as voting when it comes to choosing the executive team for the council. But again, all of the information are in the documents. This governs the council, this governs the Neighborhood Watch Program. And it's actually the same thing. It's just at a different level. Whereas the council deals with the entire program, and this deals with just your program. But the agenda is the same thing. The council has all of these same instruments, the gavel, the blotter book, the contribution book as well for at their level.
We have put out their access to their email addresses.
Yeah.
And so we can use those email addresses and email you the copy of the Constitution and the bylaws.
Yes.
Okay? So that you will have it, so that you will have it, because we'll be giving it to the president, and we can email it to everybody. You see, that's why we asked you to provide your name and all of that.
And as presidents or and you'll see the contact for the national coordinator, and the chairman, if you have any questions, just as part of the representing the ministry, we're here to really support you. So feel free to reach out. We know that, a lot of persons are not necessarily going to be reaching out, they need to become, but we're here to really support you in whatever it is that you need to move your program forward, whether it's connecting you with other people or something you can do from our level in the ministry. Okay, and so we're definitely available as needed.
All right, thank you.
And then,
Oh, go ahead, yeah, go ahead, sorry.
yeah, some neighborhoods have associations. Explain for us the difference between the National Neighborhood Watch and an association in that same neighborhood? And do they intersect? Do they have, like responsibilities? What is the difference between a neighborhood association and what the Neighborhood Watch does?
The Neighborhood Watch is different from a neighborhood association. Associations deals with the, how can I put it? We have an association. Our association deals with the upkeep of property, beautification, making sure that each neighbor has a standard of how to maintain. All right. Neighborhood Watch is the unique part of it in a community, whereas their primary role is to observe and to report what's happening in their communities in terms of their connection with the Royal Bahamas Police Force. The Neighborhood Watch Program has a unique partnership with a police liaison officer who actually gives them their press release on what's happening in the communities in terms of overall. That might not necessarily come to an association, but there's two different roles. Okay? The president of the Crime Watch is different from the president of an association. The association may have their own constitution and bylaws, which differ from the constitution and bylaws of the National Neighborhood Watch Council. If you are an association, your association does not have this kind of layout. It might be close, but it's not the same. You may still be doing the same work as a unit. I dare to say that if an association is having an event, they should also be communicating with the Neighborhood Watch Group as well. So you have one combined event to make things happen for your community. All right, but there are some individuals who will say, well, hey, if I have an association, then why should we be a part of the Neighborhood Watch Program? The association of your community cannot tap into the resources that comes from the Ministry of National Security. The National Neighborhood Watch has the resources that they tap into. So their foot is already into the program. You are outside and looking in. So there's a total difference. But we ask that the associations and the Neighborhood Watch Program work together. And we have found that there are some unique situations whereas there is an association, that individual is the president of the association and the president of the Neighborhood Watch. All right? We've seen that. And so therefore, they will still want to pay more attention to their association bylaws and constitution and not actually follow this. And so we're trying to see our best. There could be two different entities in one community but doing one thing together. So everyone can be on the same page. But the more hands involved, the what? The better. As a teamwork and a team effort. I can take two more and then that's it. So I think we have some more stuff to do. And we don't want to keep you all here what?
Too long.
Too long. Go ahead, sir.
Where's the official office of the Ministry of National Security presence?
The official office of the Ministry of National Security is right here in my heart. But on a serious note, it is on JFK. If you're coming from the airport, you pass the Red Cross, and you continue just heading like you're heading into town. If you're coming from the University of the Bahamas, you have to pass the police training college. You gotta come around the six-legged roundabout. You head back to the airport. You pass the old Bahaco building. Then you have the Ministry of Works. Then you have the Paul Adley, the Attorney General office. And then that's that big, beautiful building right there on the right-hand side. That is the official office of the Ministry of National Security. That's also the official office where the National Neighbourhood Watch Council also has an office in that building, where the national coordinator is, as well as there's a section for the chairman as well. One last question to the lady in the back, and then we wrap up on this.
I know you mentioned elections and all that. Is the 10 to 7 years as with the book, the structure of the book, or no?
No.
What is the?
You mean in terms of the persons who are in the community?
No, in terms of the executive boards.
For local board?
Yeah, boards and.
Well, 2
elections.
years, every 2 years,
Every 2 years for election?
for a local board.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have election every 2 years. But that could be something that depends on the community. Depends on the community as well. Because I know there's some communities that has elections every 5 years to get things done. Because in 2 years you might not be able to get everything that
So
you
that
want to
is
get done.
something stated, that is structured in the bylaw.
Pardon me? That is the
That is
bylaw.
structured?
That is structured.
Okay.
That is structured.
That was confusing.
No, that's structured.
2 years.
It says 2 years.
I'm asking that because it's most unusual situation when it's not from the, usually you have a time frame so that you could vote that person in or out. If it's up to them themselves to say whether we can go 2 or 5 years, then you have an issue.
It's 2 years. Every 2 years.
It should be there.
Every 2 years.
But you can always roll over if you wanted to, if there was no objections. And
So
that's
just
how you
before
could
you
go
run it
longer.
back again?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
And with the elections, for as relates to the elections again, we're trying to bring that standardization, that's going to be coordinated from the office, the national coordinator.
Yes.
And so it's not
Yes.
going to be, and it's going to be on a fixed
Date.
period in November, so that you know that this is the period here.
Gotcha. Just clear.
So I thank you, but before we leave, before I go ahead, let's go over this again. Let's do this vision, the mission, and the model so all of us can understand this together, and let's say it in unity. Go ahead.
The NNWC's vision is to connect people and empower communities to foster safer and stronger neighborhoods throughout the Bahamas.
The mission.
The NNWC's mission is to provide strategic leadership to all neighborhood watch groups by fostering effective partnerships with the police and community to prevent crime, improve safety, and advance the quality of life for all Canadians.
And our motto, creating safer communities, one household at a time. Give your hands a round of applause for yourself. And that's the key component. Whenever you have a meeting, I will encourage your presidents to have that.
You said Bahamian/residents.
Yeah, Brown. All right, thank you so much.
Can the president of Central Pines please go?
All right.